Alright boys, what are you at? I'm super excited to make this video on how to color grade log footage. Now I'm shooting with a Canon. This can work for Sony as well, so don't hate. If you're not a Canon user, no big deal. We're just showing you how to color grade log footage. Listen, if you got dreams, go chase those dreams, get excited, get motivated. Let's go, stay consistent, and keep creating videos. Let's get right into this. So I'm shooting log right now on these cameras. Show you what that looks like. This is log, okay? So it takes the highlights, that right up there, and brings it down a bit, while also taking the shadows, the darkest part, and kind of bringing it up a bit, balancing them so that way you have a really good exposed image. Keep in mind, you have to get right in camera. If you have your Kelvin temperature off, then color grading these shots, it's not gonna look that great. So try your best. If I were to give you one hint about getting awesome shots, is having really good Kelvin temperature. For an example, this is like Kelvin temperature 8,000. So you can see that the image looks terrible. I didn't change anything else but the Kelvin temperature, and it just looks really bad. Or you can go the other route and go really low Kelvin temperature, let's say 2,000. This is actually 3,200 Kelvin temperature, and you can see how changing the Kelvin temperature right away is gonna change your shots like immensely. So get your Kelvin temperature right. Don't use auto Kelvin temperature. You know what I'm talking about. Don't use that, because what that will do is as you're moving the camera around, it's gonna change the Kelvin temperature up to high and low as you're moving the camera. So know what your Kelvin temperature is and dial it in. Let's get right into this video to show you how I color grade log footage. It's honestly really, really simple, and a lot of YouTubers just go on and on, but we're not gonna go on and on. We're gonna stop right now. We're gonna go right into this. So let's do it. Okay, so this is what we're working with. This is the shot that I took of this random child at the park. I'm just kidding, it's my kid. But so yeah, this is the shot we're working with. And I also shot, just so you know, I shot on the Canon C70, this guy right here. Now I shot in C-Log 2, not just C-Log, but don't worry, we're gonna show you how to color grade C-Log 1, 2, and 3 as well. Okay, so getting into this. The one first step that I think I never see anyone talk about, and they always kind of skip it, and I don't know why they skip it, but it's a big issue. So the first thing that you're gonna do with an image like this, okay, is we're going to, as you can see up here, this is the inspector, okay? So this is like your video inspector and your color grade inspector and your audio inspector, and then this is just the info. So it just seems like to me everyone skips over this, and this is like the most important part in my opinion, is you come down here and you make sure that this is on settings, okay? And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna go in here and just click camera LUT. It's really that simple. So I shot, again, C-Log 2. So I'm going to choose Canon Log 2, Cinema Gamut. And it's built right into Final Cut Pro. That's the program that I'm using. So you can just click on that and boom, that's the color grading correction that the Canon C-Log 2 has. Now, if you're shooting in just log, then you want to choose that as well. Now, there's a lot to do with this image still. It's obviously not perfect, but we're going to show you what I would do with this image right here, right now. All right, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go over to the color inspector again. Now, I have mine on custom wheels. That's just kind of what I like. I like using the custom wheels. So how are you gonna make this image here better? Let's make it a little bit bigger. How you're gonna make this image better is just simply dropping the midtones. And I like to put it down all the way to the bottom. That's just kind of what I do for literally pretty much every single shot that I take. I take the midtones and I put them all the way to the very bottom. So as you can see in this waveform right here, it's basically color corrected to the best that you can get, okay? When this is all kind of looking the same, you can kind of tell that it's properly color corrected. Now, going back to the midtones, you can see there's a little bit too much blue in here. So we want to get rid of that. So you can just basically drag this. So here's like the yellow tint right around here. So we're gonna drag that up a bit. See how it drops the blues a little bit? Just like that. And I would say that that's probably a good image right there. Now adding more, see it says plus color wheels. So when you click on plus color wheels, it's basically going to give you, it goes number 2, and it gives you another color wheel to deal with. So this will reset and go back here. It doesn't go away, okay? So if you go back up into your video inspector, it's right there. That's your first one that you did, and now you're on to the second one. So we're gonna click back onto the color wheels, and I'm gonna drop the midtones even more, just because I like a nice dark shot like this. So that's kind of where I would leave it, right around there. Now you can increase the color like this and make it just more colorful. I personally don't like that, so I'm gonna drop that a bit. I'm gonna make it a little bit more less saturated, because this is the saturation part, and it will basically increase the saturation, which is like the colors, or decrease it. So I always use the midtones all the times. I go into the shadows part and I increase the saturation or I decrease it. It's kind of what I do, okay? And then highlights right here. So how bright the image is, you can deal with that right here. You can go really bright, which obviously you're not gonna do, or you can go darken. So this is basically a color corrected image right here. So the color accuracy is just pretty much bang on. Obviously going into a more professional route, I would take a lot more time and color grade some of these things. But again, we're just showing you how to very quickly color grade log footage. And if you want to color correct it, that's a good shot right there, okay? So going further into this and creating more of a custom color look that you like, that I would like, so this is what I would do. I'll show you that. I would come up in here and I would choose another custom wheel, except for this time I'd go right here. Now this is basically a magnetic mask that you can choose. So this isn't adding a shape mask. I'll show you what that does. So you can choose basically to create, they always say, professionals will say creating highlights. Like for example, there's highlights on my side of my face here and then shadows on this side. That's kind of how I film all my videos. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do the same idea here. So we're gonna increase this part, and this right here is like kind of like the feathering. So as you can see, this part right here, this will be the most affected part, while this is kind of like least affected and it drags on, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn that just like that. I'm gonna go on the side and really make this part of the image really dark, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up a bit more, up a little bit more, maybe drag that down a bit. And so what's going to happen right now is his side of his face is going to be quite a bit darker. So we're going to again do the midtones. So this is going to affect just that part of the image. I'm going to drag it all the way down, and again you can move this around to drag it like that if you want. So that looks better. We're gonna go about right there, and to show you kind of what that looks like before and after, as you can see like that, that's what it looks like before and after. So again, it looks a little bit more on the cinematic side when you do something like that and you create highlights and shadows on someone's side of their face. So that's what I would do for that. Now taking this a step further as well, you can see the shadows right here are touching right on the bottom, and a lot of times I don't like doing that, so I'm going to add another color wheel. I always do color wheels, and we're going to increase the shadows just a bit so they're not touching the very bottom, because what you see here, this line, when you see something go over the line, it means you're clipping. So blown out highlights is not really good, and it screams amateur. And then if you go way underneath, then the shadows are being crushed and it's a really dark image, okay? So what we're gonna do next is, again, I'm just gonna add another color wheel, because this is what I do. I just keep adding color wheels, and I'm gonna add an add shape mask, okay? And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to just make his arms a little bit more darker. And then like his jersey area a little bit more darker as well. So we're going to pull that up. Again, drop the midtones down. And as you can see, he's getting a little bit, his skin tone looks a little darker right there. So that's the before and after to that image. And again, we're going more for a cinematic vibe, just like that. So this is a little bit more of a professional shot like this. Now you can even get even better by doing more things. So what I use is I actually use a lot of motion VFX and like light flares, sun flares, that kind of idea to make the shot even look better than this. So I'm gonna go to my effects right here and I'm gonna go down to M flare and we're gonna get rid of this so that way it shows up. And we're just basically gonna scrub through some of these and see which one looks the best. I actually really like this one already, just so we're not gonna waste a lot of time. We'll just use this one for the sake of time. So I'm gonna drag that in. Now you have the option to basically change wherever that is, because obviously that would look really dumb right there. So we're gonna go back to the effects and we're gonna drag this somewhere maybe over here to where it makes more sense. For the sunlight to be, and we're gonna drop this down a bit here. Now the image, as you can see back into the waveform, you can see that it's quite a bit more brighter on the shadow side right here, because that's because the light is over here. If we were to move this over here, you can see it moving back and forth. So what we're gonna do is we're going to just add another color wheel and just make the image a little more darker, because that makes it more cinematic in my opinion. It just, a darker image is a little bit more cinematic. So we're gonna add another color wheel. And we're gonna drop the midtones down a little bit more again. And as you can see, there we go. It just looks a little bit more cinematic right now as it is. So just to kind of show you the before and after from log all the way to the color grades that we have, this is the before and after. So that's log corrected, okay? So when you just apply the, when you go to the settings in the beginning part of the video I showed you, when you go to the settings and you just choose like the color correction, this is the huge difference between these two shots. Now right now his face is a little bit too dark. So again, what I'm gonna do is add another color wheel. And you can get just really creative by adding more color wheels, okay? So we're gonna add a color wheel and we're gonna add that add shape mask, and we're gonna go over to his face. We're gonna decrease this a bit like this. I'm gonna change this over this way, and we're gonna bring up the highlights right here on his face a bit more. And there you go. So now this is looking really good. Now the icing on the top of the cake here, this is gonna look really cool, is adding a custom LUT. I use LUTs that are from lens distortions. That's kind of where I use mine from. So I'm just gonna add a bunch of LUTs and I'll show you what that looks like. So again, we come down to the effects right here and we're gonna scroll up. We're gonna choose color. I'm gonna go add custom LUT. Just click on it and it will add it. Click on it again and it'll add it. So I usually add 2 and I don't go overboard with them. I'll add them and it will be like a really dramatic change. So you can dial it in right here. You can dial it in up and down to how strong you want the effect to be. So generally I will use this guy right here, Cashmere 2, and I'll dial that down. It's actually kind of what I'm using, the Cashmere is what I'm using for this shot right here. And then I'll also go to, depending on the shot, I'll sometimes go to Super Gold too. And I'll dial that down as well, quite a bit like that. And it's only at 16%, and then the Cashmere is only at 50%. So you can see dialing those in. If I took those away, that's what the shot looks like. And when you add them, that's what it looks like. So this is basically a really easy shot. I'll show you what that looks like. Just guys just eating some ice cream at a park, and that's kind of what that shot looks like. So very simple, easy guide to show you how to color grade an image. You can get really creative, and I'm gonna show you again the before and after with all the effects applied. That's the before. just adding the color correction, and then that's the after. All your shots will look like this. If you just basically go to your Canon log, and this is color corrected. If you took this away and you just put none, again, that's what C-Log looks like. In my case, this is C-Log 2, but essentially C-Log 1 or whatever will look just like this. So the first step, again, getting back to the first step, I'm kind of going backwards here, but going into your camera LUT, if you have S-Log right down here, Sony Log 2, 3, whatever. If you're using even Apple Log, you can choose that as well, and it will quickly give you a quick color correction for log footage. But obviously you want to go and dive in deeper to color correcting it. So choosing the Canon Log 2 and then applying all the effects that we color graded to, boom, that's what the shot looks like. Now this is quite dark and probably wouldn't have done it like this. I might change a few things, but essentially this is what you could do with a shot. This is a very like cinematic shot. It's a very dark, moody shot, and that's kind of what I like and I go for. So you can choose to do it that way, or you can choose to not do it that way. Again, right here, you can see that the highlights are not quite to the top. So you could, again, just add another. We're on to 8 plus 8 color wheels here now. So you can add that, just drag it up a bit so it just touches it, and then the image is pretty much well corrected. Now you can drop the shadows so they just touch the bottom right there. But they say that a most cinematic shot is the shadows are raised a bit, so kind of like this, and are not, because all the way to the bottom for shadows and all the way to the top for highlights, it's more like an iPhone image look that's like super sharp, whereas if you add a little bit more shadows, it looks a little bit soft of an image, so it looks more cinematic like that. The process that I showed you just now, I literally do that for all of my clients, whether it be weddings or shots like this or family times or whatever I'm shooting. This is kind of how I always will color grade my log footage. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any ideas as to a video you would like to see, go ahead and leave it down in the comments and I'll make a video on it. Take care.